Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our next week and new week of 20 Minutes for Israel from Israel. We're honored to be joined by all of you and humbled to be joined by our guest Tamar today, Tamar Schwarzbard. Tamar, thank you so much for taking time to be with us from your very busy schedule. We truly, truly appreciate it. For those who are tuning in, just to remember, we aren't going to have 20 Minutes for Israel from Israel on Thursday due to Thanksgiving. We will have it tomorrow and on Wednesday. Welcome, Tamar. Welcome to our virtual West Hartford community. Can you just tell us a little about yourself, where you're from, and what your role is?
So first of all, thank you so much, Rabbi Brander, for having me here today. I want to just start off by thanking each and every one of you, because I've heard, a little bit about the incredible work that you're doing from us here in Israel. And I have to say, as an American, as an Israeli, it really means the world to each and every one of us. So thank you so much. And it really warms our hearts. A little bit about myself. My name is Tamar Schwarzbard. As you can hear from my accent, I did not grow up in Israel. I grew up in the United States, in New York. I moved to Israel exactly 10 years ago. Today, I serve as the head of digital operations at the Israel Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And me and my team are responsible for basically telling Israel's story online to millions of people around the world. It's something that we do, every single day, but particularly during times like these, during war, it's extremely challenging. And that's kind of what I've been busy with over the last 7 weeks.
Wow. Challenging and incredibly important. Give us a sense, how many people work in the content division of the Foreign Ministry?
Okay, so just to give you guys a scale of the kind of work that we do here at the headquarters, we're a team of about 30 people, which sounds like quite a lot, but it's not when you take into the account that we are active in 6 languages from headquarters: English, Hebrew, Russian, Spanish, Arabic, and Persian. We have over 12 million followers all over the world. In the last month, we've reached about 2 billion people, all organically. We're talking about thousands of posts, and the people who are on our team range from students who are interns here to, senior advisors who have a lot of experience in communications, and to individuals like myself who are civil servants. So that's a little bit, in terms of the scale of the work that we've been doing. A lot of the messaging that we've been focusing on is just really sharing the facts of what's going on, on the ground here in Israel. And I think for those of you who have been active via social media, there's been quite a lot of denial, which has been extremely difficult, both on an emotional level, on a professional level. So we're doing everything that we can to get the information out as quickly and as factually as possible.
We'll come back to some of the unbelievable work that you and your team are doing. But just from a personal side, can you tell us a little bit what the journey has been like for you since October 7th?
So I was in a little bit of a unique position because I was actually overseas. I was overseas on vacation for Sukkot in the middle of Africa. It happened to be that I am Orthodox, I am Shomeret Shabbat, but I was with a friend who was on her phone. And as things started to develop, my friend was updating me, and she said to me, I think you might want to know what's going on from a professional perspective, because I have permission from a rabbi to work on Shabbat if there's an emergency situation here in Israel. And honestly, the first day, I was kind of just in utter shock, because we, even individuals who work for the government, didn't really understand what was going on. It went from being woken up in the morning to messages about a bombardment of rockets to there are thousands of Hamas operatives in communities in southern Israel. There are children who were kidnapped. Holocaust survivors were shot. So I think the first day was extremely traumatic. I think even for those of us who are used to getting information first, it was just mayhem and shock from every level. And also keep in mind that Israel is an extremely small country. So every single person on my team, every single person in the country had known someone who was missing, murdered, kidnapped, being held hostage, etc.
It's crazy. And today, I guess the feeling has been, an all-out war, not just in physical, but on the digital space.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's putting it lightly. I like to say, I think the work that we're doing kind of lays the ground for our brave men and women in uniform to be able to achieve their objectives, on the ground. They're definitely the real heroes, but our job has basically been, a line of defense online to make sure the international community understands why it is that we're in Gaza, why it is that we're attacking Hamas. And I have to say, the first, 3 days of the conflict, there was an outpouring of love and sympathy and condemnations. But we've been saying this since the first day of the conflict. When it comes to Jews, when it comes to Israel, the world has an extremely short memory. People have already forgotten, about the atrocities that we've experienced and been exposed to. And we've been working online, not only to justify the mission, but to let people around the world know that we are going to do whatever we have to do to keep Jews and Israelis safe and to make sure that October 7th never happens again.
Right. What in the periods intervening from now to then, are there sort of vignettes or moments that stick out of just either total absurd or of real solidarity that you've seen in the digital space?
Definitely. I mean, I think this is the kind of war that I'm going to tell my children and grandchildren about. And I think a lot of you in this, Zoom will probably do the same. It's been just like ups and downs in the most extreme level. You go one day from being ecstatic that 2 hostages were brought home and you're posting about it on social media and your heart, is exploding with happiness. And then the next day you hear about the remains of a child that were found. So it's been very much, highs and lows. I have to say the solidarity here in Israel has been amazing, to say the least. I think all of you have been following the political climate in Israel leading up to October 7th. And, it was a 180 in terms of Israelis from all different spectrums coming together. That's not to say there still are not conflicts here. That's not to say it's still not difficult. On a personal level, I can tell you I cry on a daily basis. Just because the images and the content we're exposed to is extremely heartbreaking. And for me, both as an American and Israeli, the solidarity that we've been receiving from individuals in the States and fellow Jews, to me, has been the light at the end of this dark tunnel. Israelis have never felt a bigger embrace and hug from American Jewry, and each and every one of you are involved and responsible for that. So thank you. And we've also seen some support from celebrities and individuals we didn't necessarily expect to be so vocal in supporting us. Just as an example, a couple of weeks ago, we posted a post about a little autistic girl who we believe to have been taken hostage, who was disabled, who happened to have been a huge fan of Harry Potter. We put out a post and tagged J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, hoping that somehow it would get to her. She retweeted it, put the information out there, which brought a lot more exposure to this little girl's story. Unfortunately, a couple of days later, we found the body of the little girl. But there definitely have been nuggets of light amongst all of the darkness.
Unbelievable. I'm sure so many people on this call want to know, what advice do you have to us? We don't have as large a Twitter following as you or the state of Israel. What can we do on the digital space to support Israel?
So first of all, I don't necessarily believe that, because I don't think it's about numbers. I really believe, and this might sound cliche, if you are able to change one person's mind, somebody from your community who maybe is not familiar with Israel or who's never been exposed to the situation on the ground, maybe it's a colleague, maybe, it's a doctor in the community that you're bringing your children or your family members to me, that's enough. I think sometimes it's better to work on a smaller scale and put out information with the hopes that it will reach even one individual. I think that's a really, really, really big, effort and help that can definitely change a situation on the grounds. In addition, of course, amplifying all of the material that we put out, because we're stronger in numbers. Third of all, I would say if you see fake news or, information that is extremely biased regarding Israel, even if it's from a local newspaper, to write a letter to the editor to comment on one post. I know some of you think, maybe you're one person, but it takes one comment for somebody to feel pressure or retract, a statement. And finally, I would say the best thing that you can do for Israel and also for yourselves is to not get sucked into the online hole, because I think it takes very much an emotional and a physical toll on all of us. And we definitely have to take care of ourselves, both spiritually, physically, emotionally.
Is your team any advice on that last idea? It's just so important. How do you provide support for you and your team, as they are sifting through all of these images and trying to get out getting out the story without censoring it to the world?
It's been really hard, especially because we have young individuals on our team. A lot of the people who manage our channels are either, national service volunteers who are 18 or who are in their first years of college, 21, 22. We've had a social worker and a therapist on staff to hold meetings with the students. We've also told the individuals on our team, if they're not comfortable looking at material, I'm always the first person who sees the material, just to kind of give people trigger warnings and make sure that they know what they're about to see. And also, we've just told every single member of our team, we're here for them, we support them. And I have to say, it's the first time I've come to work and I've seen people who are extremely strong in my eyes just break down in the hallway, because individuals here are also receiving information about family members and friends and colleagues who have been killed or injured or who have lost loved ones. So we're trying to, provide all of the support that we can, but this really is not a normal situation. It's nothing that I've ever experienced in my life.
Going back to sort of what's going on, part of this is to also get a sense to connect us beyond the headlines to Israel, to what's going on. How would you describe the sort of the mood in the street today?
That's also a really complicated question, because I think it's very extreme, but also very normal, meaning the mood can be very somber because, again, information is coming out every single day. Bodies are still being uncovered. Also, keep in mind that a lot of the bodies were so heavily damaged and mutilated that it's taken a very long time to identify the victims. So the mood is definitely somber. On the one hand, we also have more than 200 hostages who are being held, captive in Gaza. On the other hand, it's also extreme because Israelis are trying to be optimistic, to help one another, to support one another. And there's been so much of that. And we also know that as Jews, Israelis and Jews very much also try to use humor to deal with situations on the ground. So even if you let's say, look at my, work WhatsApp group, it's a lot of heavy information. And then it's a lot of jokes that we're sharing with one another to kind of make them laugh. And then on top of that, you also just have the, normal routine of life. Kids are back in schools, at least some of them. A lot of us are back at work, and that's all in the backdrop in middle of a war. So it's a very complicated, very surreal, strange situation.
Right. Boy, so much. And I think one of the things, hopefully, that you can share with your team is that there are scores, dozens, thousands, hundreds of thousands of Jews and people of good faith in America who are, every moment just thinking about this, who are working on this, who are, doing whatever they can, coming on these sort of programs.
We feel it. I want to be extremely clear. You guys and thousands of other people are some of the only things that are keeping us going right now. Every single day I wake up in the morning and I say, I'm so grateful to be a Jewish American Israeli. I'm so grateful to know that the Jewish nation is strong and we have brothers and sisters around the world supporting us and caring for us. And I want to let each and every one of you know, we are so appreciative. The state of Israel is here for you and is here to support you as well. And you are always welcome in Israel. And you should know, even though you have a home in the United States, you also have a home and a place here. And you should know, without you, we would not be able to win this war. And I know that sometimes from far away, it could seem extremely, extremely bleak, but we are going to win this because we have no other choice. We have no other choice for Israel. We have no other choice for, Jews around the world. And we have no other choice for humanity, because this is just something that we have to do. And we feel each and every one of you marching alongside us. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Tamar, you mentioned about strength in numbers. How do we What are the channels? What are the handles? What are the different streams you're following?
So we are literally everywhere. I mean that we're on every single platform. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, TikTok, YouTube. You can either find us by just looking for the @Israel handle, which is fairly simple. My recommendation would be to follow us on Twitter, even though Twitter is a bit problematic at the moment, but honestly, all of the social media platforms are highly anti-Semitic at the moment. So I would tell you to follow us on Twitter because there we have the most information and up-to-date information. Feel free to take any of our content and share it. And Rabbi Brander, I will also send you a list of our channels after, which you can share with the people on this call and your congregants. And if you can ask them to follow us and amplify whatever material we put out, I think that would be super, super helpful.
Unbelievable. I ask everyone as we sign off, but I think you are uniquely suited to help share this message to us. You are talking to 30 computers now, and scores of people who will watch this recording afterwards. What do we American Jews who deeply care about Israel? What else do we need to know?
That's a rough question because I really think all of us are experiencing a very difficult time as we look at the rise of anti-Semitism around the world. I would tell you to be proud to be Jewish. There is no religion, nation, culture that I would be prouder to be part of, because I think this, war has shown us how strong our nation is. And I would tell you to keep talking and keep sharing and don't let anyone shut you down or, try to shut you up. And also realize at the end of the day, I think there are a lot more Americans who support Israel and who support the Jewish people than don't. I just think the extremists are very, very, very loud. So don't be discouraged. Know that there are millions of Americans standing with each and every one of you. And also know that there is a country of 9 million people who are praying for you, supporting you, sending you the best wishes in the world. And we are here to help each and every one of you with anything you need. Rabbi Brander knows that he can reach me personally if there's anything that we can do for you guys from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We're more than happy to try to help. And just realize that this too shall pass. We've been through the most horrific, situations and circumstances in the history of humanity, and we will persevere and get through this as well.
Tamar, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so
much.
Incredible work for our people.
Thank you.
For Medinat Yisrael. You should know we're here. We're davening for you. We're doing whatever we can to support in person, physically, or in the digital world. There's West Hartford. West Hartford's a special place. But in this regard, we're just like all the other Jewish communities that are doing whatever we can to support. Keep up the great work. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. And again, thank you for everything. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.